All right, want to welcome everybody to the show.
All right, want to
Um,
welcome everybody to the show.
and we're going to get rid of the echo. Take two. Take three, sorry. Uh, okay, take three. Welcome everybody to the NWO show, your source for all things New World. For those new to the show, we have a Discord server that hosts the single largest public database of in-game screenshots, videos, and concept art from the game. The link will be in the description below and in the Twitch chat. The NWO show is recorded live on Twitch and syndicated to YouTube shortly after. I'm Commander A's, a former semi-professional FPS gamer and moderator for the New World subreddit r-New World Game. I'm joined live over the net by my co-host, McLeod.
Hey guys.
McLeod, go ahead and introduce your background as well here.
Oh yeah, of course. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that you were basically just introducing me there. Hey everybody. My name is McLeod. I'm a professional audio engineer and a content developer. I have community moderation experience, specifically in raid-style MMOs, and also high-level critique experience as a decade-long and counting veteran of the most cutthroat MMO out there, EVE Online. And that's where I met A's.
Yeah, and that was God. We have been playing Eve together for God knows how many years at this point. Well, I suppose up until last year, when I decided that I wanted to pursue greener pastures, and left with my
Indeed, you did.
trillions of ISK and walked away.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hold any ill will for you because of that. Like, you know. Plus,
Yeah,
you have a
but
fairly high powered job, so
you
I
know
can
that
understand.
you want that money though.
Yeah. Well,
that ISK is just sitting there doing nothing.
constantly begging you for that.
I kid.
You're not using it, man. Like, come on.
I might what's the right word for it? Relapse into that addiction at some point. But it's not highly likely because we keep getting more and more news made public about New World, and we're getting closer to the beta date. We've got two major announcements happening this weekend. I want to quick cover those. On Saturday, PC Gamer is going to have the PC Gaming Show. It's going to have 50 games, a few surprises, reveals, trailers, interviews, and more. One of those reveals is going to be a major announcement from Amazon Games. So
I mean,
specifically about New World too.
Yeah, their communication is really kicking up a notch over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was really surprised. It's been kind of a hectic couple of weeks here. So last week they dropped the first of 3 devlogs. Then earlier this week they dropped another one. And then the next day they dropped a third one. So clearly they're building up to something.
And they tweeted out the fact that people should watch the what is it, the PC Gamer thing that's on Saturday. So
yep. In addition to that, there's also an IGN reveal that is going to be specifically talking about. Let's see if I can scroll to it here. This one's happening mid next week. I believe it's on the 15th. There it is. 15th, Amazon New World exclusive war PvP gameplay and a developer interview. So we're probably going to hear more about what's actually coming and some of the future of the game. So I'm pretty pumped for both of those. They've been hyping up the PC Gamer PC Gaming show, so I'm betting that's where we're going to get some large announcement, and then it'll be followed up on the 15th with the IGN war gameplay. So for people who have been sitting there going, oh, all we're getting is 4 or 5 second clips. I want to see some long-term gameplay. I want to see some action. I want to see the nitty-gritty. Like, what is this game actually like? I think this is going to be the weekend. This is going to be the weekend where a lot of your questions are going to be answered, and you're going to get to see some stuff.
Hopefully, they do get to show us some live gameplay, because the thing is, when it's curated in-game shots, you're never entirely certain as to how it's played. But when you actually get when you get, like, either you get hands on, or you get the opportunity to watch someone who is getting hands on to the game, like, that's when it really opens up and you really kind of understand where the game is at this particular point. So
Absolutely. So I'm really excited about that. It's gonna be really good because right now all we've had are people that are leaking stuff, and we've had people that and we've had a couple of reviews back earlier this year from a few sources, but we haven't had any fully fleshed out. Here's a decently long video showing us how this actually works. Um, and if a picture says 1,000 words, then a video, um, well, it's going to be printing for a while then.
yeah.
So either way, PC Gaming Show on Saturday, and the IGN Expo on the 15th, June 15th. So those will both be key ones to look for. We're going to dive over, and instead we're going to, now that we're done talking about those, we're going to talk about items in New World.
Yeah.
So this is kind of cool.
Just before we get into this, the guys out there probably know that there has been 3 dev blogs that have, well, not dev blogs. I'm going into Eve terminology here. 3 articles that were released by Amazon Games. Items in New World, and there were 2 others which are a little bit more recent.
Yes.
Instead of making
Items, character progression, and crafting.
Yeah. So
3 big topics.
Instead of making this particular episode of the New World Order show like extremely long, going through all 3 of them, we're going to go through the first one, items in New World, and then probably tomorrow and then Saturday we're probably going to be going through the other ones in successive shows. So
yeah, figure we should probably get into a little bit more of a consistent streaming instead of
cadence.
Good cadence. Get a rhythm going. Because for those of you that have been following the show since January, one, thank you. To the people who just started following, thank you. It's been an interesting year, to say the least. I've had to decrease my activity for several months at a time here due to some pretty excessive hours at work. So I'm real happy to be getting back into this. That said, enough about the real world. Let's talk about the new world.
Yeah.
So, items in New World. So, I think that there's a lot in here that needs to be digested. And
I mean, I know
the perfect spot. The perfect spot to start with that is food and drinks. There is just so much that is important about this that you have to prepare. It's not just about I took a little bit of damage, so I'm gonna take I'm gonna eat some food and I'm gonna heal up. It's not just about that. And this is where becoming a really good chef and making tier 5 stuff for instance, salt crusted fish with glazed potatoes. You get that health recovery. The recovery stops if you're damaged. Provides a powerful ward against damage from lost type enemies. So what's interesting here is if you look at all of the different ones across the screen here, the provides a small increase in base gear score from items crafted by engineers, provides a moderate increase in base score, provides a strong ward against damage from beast type enemies. That's a like, pretty big distinction. So making high tier food and utilizing it in the right time is going to help you in different circumstances. So you're going to be able to specialize and kind of kit yourself out not just with your gear for the right, for the right instance, but you're also going to be able to kit yourself out with the right perks and bonuses. So I think that's a really important factor in this.
And after all, there's a long-standing saying that goes, an army marches on its stomach, which essentially is basically saying that a well-provisioned army is an effective army, and that actually comes all the way back from the times of Napoleon.
So I do want to note one thing. There's a fish in this photo, and there's a salt crusted fish as an item. Does this mean that we're going to see the return of fishing?
I mean, I hope so.
Not the
Like,
return of, because it hasn't been in the game, but does this mean that we're going to see fishing? Like, I think that'd be a lot of fun. Just sitting next to a river, just hanging out. And then again, I'm that type of person that I would sit next to a river and fish, but to each their own. So, moving along here, we've also got potions and tinctures, which I also think this is a matter of knowing what you're going against, utilizing what you have with you, and preparing for what you're about to attack or what you're about to get into. So if you've got the right stuff with you, you're potentially going to live longer or have the right resistances, but you have to prepare. Which I think that is so much better than, well, I've got all of the max tier 5 gear, I'm perfectly fine, I can survive whatever. Well, you know, that's not particularly fun if you don't have to, if you can just, oh, I've got the best gear, I can just do whatever I want. Well,
yeah, if you just get to the top, like the top tier of just general equipment that protects you from everything, and you can just waltz into any particular arena, any particular kind of sort of location on the map, and just decimate everything. Like that doesn't make for compelling gameplay. That doesn't make for a challenge. If you're constantly at the edge, having to use like various different potions and tinctures in order to keep yourself alive, in order to keep yourself from succumbing to New World, then that definitely increases your heart rate. That definitely gets the blood flowing.
absolutely. So I think that's a very interesting kind of gameplay that not a lot of games have. Um, and I think the next part here expounds on that even more, where now you've got weapon coatings. So it's not just a matter of, did I bring the right resistances to buff myself against what I'm going for, but did I bring the right weapon coating that's going to help me kill what I'm aiming to kill. So when you go into one of the arenas, and you're going against the Spriggan, you want to make sure that you're kitted for stuff that's you know, going to hurt the Spriggan more than other enemy types. But also, you're going to want resistances that are better against the Spriggan, and you're going to want um, weapons that have bonuses against them, and you're going to want to change your kit out based on what you're actually doing, which I think is pretty crazy when it comes to gameplay opportunities.
Now, one of the things I wanted to note here was, because looking through the images, I mean, not the initial image, obviously, with the fish, but the various different types of, for example, the coatings, the various different types of balms and like tinctures and potions. as well as the food. Like a lot of the food, when it comes to the item descriptions, um, obviously you have things that change, the gear scores, when crafting stuff, and various different things. What I noticed was, as far as I could tell, the only thing that showed uh, an actual buff to being able to resist things seems to be resistance to NPCs. So, for example, the tier 4 steak and eggs, it has a ward against damage from beasts. Um, when we go to the coatings, right? It's moderate, like say the concentrated corruption coating. It has a moderate bonus damage against corrupted. Um, the only thing really is the tinctures that seem to have absorption qualities for what seems to be like damage types, void absorption, fire absorption, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was going to say that it looked like most, if not all, of the items, aside from those absorption boosters, were all, related to fighting NPCs rather than fighting people like other players. Um, I don't know how many different types of items are in the game, or whether there's you know uh, like food items, like the previous things that I was talking about, that you know um, provide a ward against sort of player damage, or codings that provide a buff to damage against against players rather than just specific NPCs. But you know, be interesting to see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, skipping ahead here. Sorry.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so so this is where it also kind of goes into gear score and weapons as well, where your weapons are going to have different types of damage and different bonuses to different things. So where we were saying earlier, where okay, now you don't just need to worry about, did I bring the right um, potions to or tinctures to deal with um, maybe I'm going against a mage type enemy that's throwing fireballs or something at me, to deal with the burns. Um, but am I bringing enough healing potions? Am I bringing enough damage resistance against that? But also, let's say that's a corrupted enemy that you're going against. You're going to need to bring in order to be the maximum level of effectiveness. You're going to need to bring a sword or some gear that has bonuses to killing that specific thing, or it's going to take you longer. I'm going to zoom in on the sword graphic here because
Oh, for
there's a
sure.
lot here.
There's actually,
Um,
yeah, there's a ton of information there.
yeah. So one first thing that pops out is gems. So this is going to come up when we cover the character progression in the next episode. This is going to come up as a huge thing because character progression is limited to a certain point. You can soft cap. Um, so being able to add dexterity or add strength, add constitution is going to be huge in maximizing your character to the level where you're going to be competitive. Now, that also means you're going to have potentially bonus damage off of that, based, depending if the weapon's based on dex or based on strength, potentially extra health by using certain weapons with certain gems. There's obviously different types and different values of gems. So, like, there's the flawed aquamarine gem, there's the pristine jasper gem. Like, you know, clearly you're getting more out of one than the other. So there's that.
Um, there's also, I mean, not only gems, but the actual in the article, it does actually say that certain prepared foods provide additional points of constitution. So
Yes.
it's not only, gems that provide additional attribute points. Like, you could potentially be getting additional attribute points of various different styles from different types of foods,
Hmm.
which is kind of interesting too.
So now this might mean that when you're leaving town and you see a guy flag up and he's running out of town, but at the same time he's chomping down on 4 or 5 different things, and he looks like the pimp knight rolling out. You know, he's clearly bonused up for dunking someone. You know,
Or
and
something,
or
yeah.
something. You know, and these bonuses last for 20 minutes, so you might not see. Let's say you're running through the woods and somebody comes running up on you. You feel like you're equal level. You feel like you got equal gear. But 15 minutes ago, that guy took some T5 food and some weapon coatings and you know has a lot of other stuff. Suddenly it might not be as fair a fight as you think it is, and you might not be as prepared for that fight as the person who's about to dunk you. So I think that there's
And
a level of play there that's
yeah,
real
yeah,
fun.
for sure. And there's also a level of capability of someone being able to, you know, if chance favors the prepared man, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the capability of someone potentially being able to fight off several foes when properly provisioned and providing the correct amount of buffs that's required against people who may not have thought that far ahead. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there is a potential of being able to take on many foes and claim victory for sure. Not just based on the capability of the fighting and weapon systems in the
Yeah.
game.
So another interesting thing between the two slides here, you can tell there are different levels of gear even within each tier. So you've got a iron straight sword, common. Doesn't look looks like common might just have no bonuses to it. That's just the straight up, hey, this is the sword. Um, Uncommon, now you've got a bonus on there. Rare, now you've got 2 bonuses and potentially throw on a socket for a gem. Um, which I'm guessing that you're going to be able to pick which gem you put in there. I think that's in the article too. Um, we'll have to double check that later. But gems in
I think
every
you're
other
right there.
game have worked like that. So I would imagine it would work like that as well, where you get to pick whatever gem is going to go in there. And then on top of that, you got the epic level. Okay, now you got three different bonuses and potential for a socket on there. That's pretty crazy. But then on top of that, now you've got a tier 5 legendary. And I'm assuming that there's going to be legendaries from all of the different levels so that you can get something rare that's going to help you out, help you kind of boost through things, or if you get lucky or stuff like that. But now you're getting some pretty high bonuses here. So Keen 3, 25%, 25% bonus to your base damage, 40% void damage, 5% void damage absorption, and you've got a socket on there. So okay, hey, it's an empty gem socket. So I wasn't wrong in saying, hey, you're going to be able to pick what gem goes in there.
That's pretty cool. I mean, those buffs are pretty insane, to be fair.
Yeah, that's a
Like
that's a pretty crazy, pretty crazy
25% is
thing.
pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I do hope that there's going to be legendary styled weapons, in some of the other tiers.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really, really good.
Another thing to note here is that the different tiers appear to be level locked. So tier 2 is locked at level 1. So once you start the game, you can use tier 2 equipment. Tier 3 is locked behind level 20. Tier 4 is locked behind level 35. Tier 5 locked behind level 50. Let's see if the legendary's got a So
I mean,
the
in actual
level on that is
fact,
still 50, but it's bind on pickup, so you can't trade that to somebody.
oh, that's interesting. It does actually say in the a little further down in the article that yeah, there will be legendary level items found for players of any level. So excellent.
Yeah, that's good. Um, so and then that goes across everything that you can fit to your person. So infused leather porter's duffel, um, tier
So the rare
five. You know,
the rarity, like I imagine the rarity is obviously the like common, uncommon, rare, epic kind of thing, right?
mm-hmm.
And legendary is probably the highest rarity level of that.
Yeah,
Um,
you probably got to get real lucky to get a legendary, or you've
so
got
I
to kill
imagine
something that's really hard to get it.
yeah. So the Amazon games have. I mean, I almost said AWS there for some stupid reason. Amazon games does say in the actual article that where is it? Their rarity definition is based on the number of perks an item has. So I'm not entirely certain whether those rarity, the capacity for an item to have more bonuses is based on what tier they're at, or whether you can actually, uh, whether you can find tier two items with, you know, with say a perk or maybe two perks. That'd be pretty awesome. I mean, they said that legendary items are available in all at all levels, so I mean, I guess that there's going to be an entire selection of or capacity for each tier to have a variety of different types of rarity items available, not just tier two. You only have like say one perk or no perks, and then every so often a legendary kind of item appears out of nowhere. Like hopefully there's more of a broad spectrum going on in all of the tiers.
Oh yeah,
um there is, I mean, this will be covered probably either tomorrow or like on Saturday, but like there is a degree of being able uh to be able to create that yourself as a crafter.
yeah,
But we'll go over that in a successive show.
yeah. When we go over crafting, this gets all kinds of fun. But on the topic of crafting, you know, these kind of bonuses when it comes to equipment, a lot of people assume that most of this is tied around PvP, PvE, but that's not entirely the case. You might have somebody in your group who really just likes crafting stuff, and getting them properly equipped to get and build the best equipment possible is also going to be a key thing here. So we saw earlier that there's you know bonuses with food and stuff for crafting specific things. So you might
Yeah,
need to
there's
take a
so
T5 steak and eggs to craft something really good, but also you need an amulet that's got +4 minimum jeweler crafter crafted item quality. You know,
or something of that vein. Yeah, because
yeah,
like in one of the previous images, like for example, it says the wildberry compote says increases base gear score. You know, that kind of thing. That kind of thing.
mhm,
So for various different types of things. So I imagine if there's food that increases base gear score, there might even be equipment that increases your ability to create things with higher levels
yeah. So, and this
or
might
higher
also mean
quality.
that like when you're crafting something, something that might be useless to you might be solid gold for somebody else. Let's say you're crafting one of these things and you build something that's got a really good, you know, uh,
Oh, of course you have it. You have it
bonus
on
on
the
it.
thing.
It might be useless to you because I'm strength based, and this is all dexterity stuff. But it's got like a +4 dexterity to it.
Hmm.
Somebody who's using a bow is going to be like, fuck yeah. They're going to jump all over
Oh
that.
hell yeah!
You know, so just as somebody who might be specifically really good at jewelry crafting, they might sit there and say, oh my god, this has a +4 minimum jeweler crafter quality. Like, that's my jam. They might be willing to pay you more than somebody else for what you would otherwise potentially discard.
See, this is one of the things. When I was going through the article, I was very much, highlighting sections, not really looking at the actual the actual pictures, but just like going through the information, words only kind of thing, going through it. Like, and I was there, like, maybe they're thinking that, maybe they're thinking this. Like, I completely missed the whole, all of the various different bonuses and perks that like you have on the screen here, just saying smelting mastery 1,
Yeah,
jewel
I just saw
crafters
that one.
mastery
Yeah.
3, and I'm like, oh fuck, okay, that's yeah. So what I was saying was just, duh, of course they are.
So I mean, like, there's the thing with this is that there is a lot of depth into a player's choice of what they're wearing at any point in time. You might have a set of gear that you wear while you're crafting, and you might have a set of gear that you wear while you're out doing PvE against lost types. You might have a set gear that you're wearing when you're going against Spriggan. You might, have a different set that you use against Corrupted. You might have a completely different set that you use for PvP. You know, whatever gives you the best bonuses for what you're doing. So the min maxing at even the high level there with these kind of changes are huge. You know, that's absolutely crazy. Also, there's something that I just noticed here. Um, the Orichalcum Earring of Ice increases frostbite resistance. Have we seen frost resistance before?
Oh shit! Yeah, no, I was looking at the bonuses and going, "Where's
Yeah.
that?" And then, oh right, it's there. Frostbite resistance. I've never, I don't think I've ever heard that or seen it on any of the other articles about it.
So
That'd be interesting.
there's a lot that can be told about the game here that isn't is potentially beyond what's in the articles. Like the ring here has 100 out of 100. The Platinum Stewart Amulet has 200 out of 200. The earring has 100 out of 100. You know, what's interesting here is one of these has basically a 50% durability modifier on it. You know, is that the durability up there? That's doubled because it's
But I'm kind of wondering, like, wouldn't surely a doubling would be 100% increase in durability? But
I
that's
would
just
think
me.
so, but yeah. I mean, that's there's a lot there. Now the other thing is these all have a weight to them,
Yeah, I noticed that too. That was pretty
so
cool.
there's likely a carry weight. Potentially return of the carry weight system from prior mentions there. Um,
Well, there's a section of the article going into armor weight and equipment load, so like that's definitely. I
yeah,
mean, it's nice to see that they're thinking of the entirety of like what you're potentially putting on, what you're potentially equipping yourself with. That essentially counts towards your equipment load or your armor weight, right?
yep. And of course, I click over to the thing and it's right there. Um, armor weight and equipment load. You got to pick. If you want to be light and nimble, you got to pick for it. You want to be a normal weight. You're going to have less maneuverability potentially. And if you're heavyweight, what are you going to do? Are you going to be able to do everything that everybody else can do? You're gonna have to make choices, which I think is valuable.
Oh, for sure. You see, the thing is, the thing is you uh, anyway, um,
Anyway,
fairly certain.
sorry about
Yeah,
that. I
yeah.
had to calm the dog down. So obviously, there's going to be changes to the armor weight and equipment load and stuff like that. That's going to be important.
Yeah.
So
Now, now,
that's an
now,
interesting
now,
aspect of
Ace,
things. Sorry.
I am going to say that you may be kind of like a little bit a little bit aggravated about the fact that your dog was making noise and stuff. But I can tell you for one, once we're streaming beta, and you can have you'll have your camera on and everything like that. Pets are extremely good at increasing viewership.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a dog cam on those streams because
Oh yeah,
you know he's a pretty adorable dog.
he is an actual
You
fact.
know, he's about 130-pound Bernese Mountain Dog, so he's a very large but very pretty dog. Um, so on
He'll
top of
he'll
that,
be he'll be getting attention.
yeah. So and I do plan on actually doing like live streams of the game the second it comes out, um, so that I can help people make decisions on whether or not they want it. Clearly, I've made my decision in that I've decided to keep my pre-order, and of course I'm still interested because obviously I'm still making the show.
I shall be along with you on the trip. So you know.
Mm-hmm. So the last thing here is that obviously there's crafting resources that you can find uh, around the world. From trees, from ore veins, from various supply caches. Um, you know, you can kind of find this stuff around the world. Um, so Robot in chat actually asked a really good question that's worth actually answering here. What potential downsides do you think there will be to the features presented in this article? Um, so things might not be what they appear to be. Um, you
There's
might
also
be
another
going against
aspect,
somebody who ate something that makes them substantially more powerful than you think they are. Or
and
they
the
might
and
have a
the
sword that gives them a bonus that you don't think that they have.
yeah, and the potential possibility of you being able to tell prior to actually locking horns with them that they've got these bonuses running, or that they've got these buffs running, it's probably not going to be that obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, we have all of these various different things, bonuses, and in this way and that way, with various different things, both with items, both with armor and weapons, and you know, like medallions and sort of like rings and stuff that you can add on, as well as like food and all that kind of stuff. Like all of these bonuses, it depends entirely on quite how they stack up. Where do they stack? Do the way that they stack, the order that they stack, on a single person, on a single player? Are they do they get reduced the more that gets stacked onto a particular player? you know do certain ones stack, do certain other ones don't stack? Is the relation to the various different bonuses and stuff like that just whichever one's the highest is the one that applies, or is it do all of them apply at the same time, that kind of thing, right? So there is a potential with all of the various different bonuses, especially the most powerful bonuses, to essentially make almost like a god tier level um, player in various different aspects. Um, some part of that kind of combination might be a little bit overpowered, but the nice thing is all of these different things being play tested. Um, you know, Amazon games have dials to be able to dial things back, to be able to make sure that things don't, if they are uh, seemingly being used in an overpowered way, they can dial them back to get them to be relatively stable and not oppressive.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is going to be based around an individual's willingness and readiness to prepare. Like if you actually go out and prepare a if you go out and actually prepare for what you're about to do, you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're going to succeed. But if you don't spend the time preparing, then you might not be as well off.
For sure.
And that might be the big difference there. And that might be one of the downsides. Is that people who are not people who are more casual, who are sitting there going, well, I've got that top tier gear for a good set for PvP that I'm just going to kind of use for general purpose everything. Well, okay, good luck with that. But for the high end, um, for the people who are going to be playing all the time and are going to sit there and min max everything, here's the right set to use, here's the right equipment, here's the right equip weight that I want to hit, and perfectly crafted gear that has all of the bonuses specific to what I want to be doing at any specific time. That is going to be the difference in between your casual player and your not casual player, which I think is going to be really exciting.
One of the things, in actual, I'm kind of. It might be a bit presumptuous of me. I might be kind of barking up the wrong tree to some degree in this, but in terms of both crafting and just finding various different things, because obviously at the pretty much at the top of the article, um, they say, consumables, that kind of stuff, provide slow health generation. And while raw foods, fresh water can be used in a pinch, like you get the most out of stuff, not just food, but like obviously, when crafting various different items, you get the most out of it by crafting in various different ways. um Obviously what that means, you have to go out and go out and have to find raw resources in order to combine in various different ways, shapes and forms to create these various different things that allow you to buff your character in various different ways. Now, um hopefully, uh Amazon Games uh essentially puts out enough resources into the game world in general for there to be a decent amount of resources for people to pick up, to use, and create. Not so that there is plentiful for everybody, but maybe that there is enough for the discerning people, for the people who are adventurous enough to go out to maybe the further reaches of the map in order to find the various different things. Um, hopefully that is the ideal kind of scenario. If there are too few resources, that could cause a lot of issues with people being, wanting to be prepared, fully prepared for a confrontation, but not being able to be prepared because of the sheer lack of resources.
Yeah,
So there is a potential there of, lack of resources being a thing that only advantages the either the most skilled, the most prepared, or the most industrious of not only players but player groups. So there's a bit of a balance, kind of another kind of balance game going on there. You having fun there, Ace?
my dog is assaulting my roommate. Uh, yeah. Um, my dog likes to nuzzle people. He's He's a good time. But yeah. Anyways, so I think that kind of wraps up what that wraps up the craft, or not the crafting, the items in New World article. We have two other articles to cover this week. We're going to cover character progression tomorrow, and then either before or after the major announcement on Saturday,
Whatever it is.
um,
Yeah, whatever it is on Saturday. Yeah.
which is the PC Gamer PC gaming show, which should have some major announcement based on their Twitter post for New World.
I was gonna be
We'll
like,
cover
it's
the
the
third one
PC
there.
Gamer Show, dude, and then I literally just saw it on the thing. I was like, oh, it is the PC Gaming Show.
Mm-hmm.
It's PC Gamer presents the PC Gaming Show. All right, fair enough.
I mean, it would be a little awkward if the PC Gamer show presented like Sony PlayStation or something.
Yeah.
Of which, for the people that don't know, the PlayStation 5 was just announced today with a whole bunch of games and stuff like that. That said, pretty much anybody who's playing New World is going to be PC Gamer. If you haven't heard that it's a PC only game, then let me break that break that little barrel open for you. And yeah. That said, that's all we've got for today's show. We'll be back on tomorrow at roughly around the same time, and we'll be back on for the weekend as well. So have a good
Hell
one.
yeah. See you guys.